What if there's a purpose behind your depression? I know this sounds crazy, but hear me out. I'm not a licensed health professional, but I have and still do sometimes suffer from depression, even anxiety, ADD, and ADHD. And let me tell you something. A lot of people see it as a bad thing. This is why they drown it in medicine. But there are some people who see it as a blessing and they rather try to understand it than suppress it. Well, if you're one of those people, then this video is going to change your life, because I guarantee you everything I'm going to share with you today, you're going to perceive your emotions in such a different way, to the point that you will actually want to learn from them, to transmute them, and it will actually assist you in understanding that you are the master of how you want to feel, and you don't have to allow these emotions to define who you are. What is Gooch, you beautiful awakened ones? Welcome back on another episode on Embracing the Ascension series with your homegirl, Brittany Fontanez. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Only love here. Someone just texted me, why are you interrupting me? Anywho, only jokes here. But if you're new to this channel, welcome. I am an intuitive shaman healer. I'm a psychic tarot reader. I actually talk about spiritual development on this channel. I talk about emotional awareness, and I actually do guided readings for each zodiac sign. And I talk about things I feel need to be talked about, because our divine right to know more than what we've been told. But other than that, you beautiful beings, I'm gonna be real. The reason why I'm doing this video today is because, like I said, I'm not a licensed health professional, but I have suffered from intense emotions like depression, and it actually runs in my family, to the point, a lot of people in my family have wanted to commit suicide, including myself. And I recently just lost a really wonderful friend from suicide as well, and it hurts, because he was a light worker just like me, and he was doing immense beautiful work, but sometimes things could take over us. And I want this video to go out to anyone, to you. So please share if you feel like it's very beneficial for you. It'll be beneficial for someone else, to help you realize that you're not alone on this journey. When you decide to start following your heart, to start honoring the fact that you're more than what you've been taught, been told, it's gonna be tough, because you're gonna go through awakenings, tremendous amount of awakenings. Intense emotions are literally just like the suppressed pressure of pain coming to the surface, to wanting to wake you up to something bigger. And that's how a majority of us are on the spiritual journey. We all have a spiritual awakening from that amount of pressure of pain. That's what causes a spiritual awakening. It's just pain so suppressed that the soul is like, I'm done. I don't want to feel all of this. I don't want to allow this to govern me. And boom, you have a spiritual awakening, to the point that you have no choice but to feel it. But here's the thing, like I said, a lot of people don't want to feel into what it is that their emotions are expressing to them, what it is that their heart is trying to tell them. That's why a lot of people drown themselves in medicine. Let me tell you, I got a grandparent who has like a case like this, full of pills for each day. No judgment at all. I know a lot of people who take antidepressants, but in this video, my goal is to share with you that there's nothing wrong with your emotions. The reason why you feel the way that you do, because there's a purpose behind it. And here's the beautiful thing, and let me go into my notes. I love how Jim Carrey says it. He says, depression is the avatar being tired of playing its role. So really, what I want to say in my own terms is that the deeper meaning for me is that your soul is tired of obeying by your ego's demands. Ain't that some shit? So if depression is your avatar tired of playing a role, then really what it means is that your soul is tired of obeying to the ego's demands. And here's the thing, the soul craves bigger things than materialism, than obeying, confining to what society has tell us that we need to obey by and follow, you know? And it's because you're on a different journey. You're on a different path. You are not just a human being. You are a divine being, a cosmic being at that. I believe we come from other planets. I highly believe that we all come from different planets. Why do you think there's so much variety? Ain't that some shit? But that's really what it is that your soul is tired of obeying your ego's demands. And you know why depression is an all-time high in today's world? It's because everyone, oh my God, I love how I said this. Everyone is playing a role. Everyone has a mask. And this is why everyone is so miserable and depressed, regardless of how good their life is. It's just like something internally does not feel right. And this is why people get into substances, into addictions, and all these different things to run away from self. And the thing is, since everyone is playing a role they think they know, but really they are unaware of, hence being in a state of illusion, hence asleep. So, I want to give you 3 reasons behind depression. This goes for anxiety, this goes for ADHD, this goes for ADD, this goes for absolutely all the intense emotions that you feel like that you just don't understand, but you feel like it doesn't make sense. Like I said in the beginning, I was a very, very, very hyper kid. So hyper to the point my dad wanted to put me on medicine because I was a very hyper kid, to the point I was in a, what do you call that in school? You get into the bad kid class, I was even in special ed as well. So I had troubles learning, I had troubles listening. And, even in my relationships, I had this tendency to always be very, very sad. And, a lot of people in my relationships couldn't handle that. They couldn't handle that. They always wanted to have fun. They always want to do some things. I didn't really feel like my emotions were understood. I'm a very vulnerable person. I have no problems of expressing my emotions, but there is a time where it's just like, I get really, really, really down. And it recently happened not too long ago either, where after suicidal thoughts did pop up. And, a lot of us don't know how to handle this. This is why, we tend to run to different things, run into relationship after relationship, taking, overdosing and drinking and sex and porn and all this different stuff. By the way, if you haven't watched my recent video, 7 Signs of Escapism, I highly suggest you go check that out. I'll leave it up here and I'll leave it at the end of this video. But, the 3 reasons behind depression that I'm going to share with you is going to be very mind-blowing, but the whole purpose of why I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to stop running away from yourself. We're living in a world where people are ruled by the dictatorship of their ego to the point they're not living in their hearts. And the reason why is because a lot of people fear love. A lot of people fear leaning in to what they feel. So they rather put on a mask. They rather be fake. But that's the thing. We got to recognize, why do we have a mask? Why are we hiding? Why are we not obeying by our heart? Why? That's the huge question about it all. Instead of judging how you feel, question it. Why is it here? What's the purpose? I've said in a couple of my videos so far already is that emotions are energy in motion. Meaning that they come through our system to teach us a lesson because they hold a frequency that helps us elevate our frequency. But we have the tendency to hold on to it and identify ourselves with those very suppressed emotions to the point they create reoccurring trauma and reoccurring patterns within relationships, within your thought process, and how you perceive life. So today I really want to get in depth and helping you guys understand that there's a purpose behind your emotions. This is what makes us human beings, honestly. And this is the beautiful gift of being a human, is that you can feel. Feeling is healing, man. And a lot of people believe that if they lean into their pain, it'll create more pain. It actually doesn't. Yeah, some people have the tendency to overindulge in the pain to the point they just allow it to consume them. But the thing is that what you resist persists, always. Always. What you resist persists. And you have to have courage to show up for yourself, because yourself deserves it. And only you can do that. But let's get into these 3 signs, the purpose. There are 3 reasonings behind depression. And the first one is your soul is trying desperately to make you face your pain that you have suppressed. You know, depression comes from traumas that happen in our life. And for instance, for me, I have abandonment wounds. And actually, I'm really glad I recently just healed it. It was a generational curse, honestly. And you know, I used to suffer from abandonment to the point I became really codependent on friends, even friends with benefits and relationships. And, you know, I didn't understand why I didn't feel whole within myself. And I didn't never even like looking at myself in the mirror. I never liked looking into my eyes. It was just so dark. It was just scary for me. And then I remember all those times where I got really, really down, really depressed. I didn't want to face it, to the point I was very promiscuous, drinking, smoking, partying, doing all these different things. And, you know, the reasoning behind depression, the first reasoning, is that your soul is desperately trying to signal to you there is something that you need to face. And going back to the trauma, you know, depression comes from trauma, and trauma sits into the body. And when we don't face that, it only prolongs your pain, and it actually ends up creating physical ailments, which is the crazy thing. So the purpose behind your depression is your soul is trying to get you to understand that there's more to what you feel. And here's the thing, little did I started to learn that when I lean into my depression, it was teaching me how to master my emotions. It was teaching me how to master myself. You know, when I recently had that moment of suicidal thoughts, I remember I would have times way before that, years ago, where, you know, I got so fucking down on myself to the point my self-talk was like through self-loathing, self-hatred. I used to hit myself in the head, no lie. And but this time I allowed it to flow through. And let me tell you what I learned. The beauty of what I've learned behind it is that my soul just wants me to come back home, to love the experience of life, to love the fact that no matter what I'm feeling, it's okay to not be okay. Really, it's okay not to be okay. And that's where we're going to get into the second reason, is that your heart is trying to call you back home, to open up your heart. The reasoning behind your depression is because your heart is very closed. It's because you allow that pain to define you. And when you allow pain to define you, all you do is on edge. You become very hyper vigilant, which is someone who's always on guard, someone who's very overprotective of self, to the point that you lack trust, you lack faith, you are not open to new, you're not open to anything that seems good, because you think that you don't deserve good. And this is why people suffer from depression, is because they think they don't deserve goodness. But the reasoning behind depression, the second reasoning, is because your heart is trying to call you back home. It's trying to help you open up. It's trying to help you release. I always love this saying, you gotta have a breakdown in order to have a breakthrough. Always. You gotta have a breakdown in order to have a breakthrough. Don't mind the background noise, you guys. So, you know, you gotta honor the way you feel. Now, so let's get into the third reasoning behind depression. And this is going to be a slap in the face. Because when I channeled this, I was like, for real? For real? But here's the thing about life. We have to embrace the ebbs of life. Not just the flow, the ebbs. And the ebbs are really like the discords, you know, the bumps in the roads, the hard times, the dark night of the soul. We gotta honor every part of this journey, because I will always say this, without pain we would never know how to heal. Without hatred we won't know love. Without resentment we won't know compassion. Without sadness we won't know happiness. We need these ebbs. So this is the reason behind depression. We got to be honest with ourselves, and we got to be real, and that is You refuse to take accountability for how you feel. And here's what happens when you refuse to take accountability for your depression and for how you feel. You judge yourself, you judge others, you blame the world, and you don't allow yourself to understand that the reasoning behind the way that you feel is because you neglect yourself. You don't love yourself. You don't honor yourself. I'm not saying that, you're going to heal your depression immediately. What I am saying, and stop feeling depressed sometimes, what I am saying is that the purpose behind depression is trying to teach you how to own your power, to take back your power, to honor how you feel, and to stop judging yourself. Because the reasoning behind depression is that we are actually neglecting and abandoning ourselves to the point that we think we aren't worthy, we aren't lovable, we aren't deserving. And through these ways of thinking, what we're really doing is becoming a victim towards our circumstance. And when we become a victim towards our circumstance, we are the ones who are allowing ourselves to suffer on purpose. On purpose, you guys. And, the thing is that when we don't take accountability, what we're really doing is that we're blaming God and the universe for our bumps in the roads. We're blaming the world for the fact of why we feel the way that we do. And the thing is, you can't live a happy life until you face what is not making you happy. A lot of people want to do fake it till you make it. When it comes to your emotions, you can't fucking fake that shit. You cannot fake how you feel. And if you keep ignoring it, all you're going to do is allow suffering to take over, when realizing happiness and suffering is optional. You can find happiness in feeling this depression, because you know why? Because you're going to allow yourself to release it. And that's another thing behind depression, is that you don't want to release your pain. You don't want to release the false identity that you're holding. Because here's the thing, I had this moment the other night actually. I was watching Insidious, The Last Keys. I fucking love paranormal movies. And I love all the Insidious movies, honestly. Such great stories, how they intertwine with each other. But there was a moment at the end where I cried. I had a moment. I cried because the movie's about the last one is about the medium and how she got her gifts to become a medium. And so she goes into the other dimension to save her niece, to actually save her niece and save herself. And her niece actually came in to help save her. And so, she faced this entity that she brought into this world as a kid in her childhood home. And the crazy thing is that in her childhood home at a young age, her brother had a whistle. And the mom said, anytime you're scared, you blow this whistle, I'll come running. So since at a young age, she opened the portal of this entity to come into the world, and the entity killed her mother. And so when she went into the other dimension, that was when she was like 6. When she went to the other dimension, she was like an older woman. But she was about to die from this entity. And her niece threw her the whistle. And she blew on that whistle. And her mom came to save her. And I cried so much, because I realized that deep down, I've never had a mother figure. I've never had anyone to hug me, to hold me, to say I love you every day. And that broke my heart, because all I realize I need is nurturing, and I never got it from my mother. And it breaks my heart that I still don't. But I embraced that. I highly embraced that. And I realized that because of this, I thought pain is normal. We think pain is normal. This is why we tolerate it in relationships. This is why we tolerate it from people. This is why we tolerate it from our own demons, is that we think pain is normal. Now, I'm telling you, it is a part of life. But what I'm trying to share with you is that sometimes we're so used to the pain that we end up believing that's all we deserve, to the point that we start seeing it as normal. and start identifying with it. But here's the thing. Like I just shared with you, I took accountability for how I felt. It takes courage to take accountability, because what you're doing is you're taking responsibility for the only thing that you can master, and that is your emotions. And that is the most catalyst part of being a manifester, of being your own healer, of being your own hero, of mastering self, is that when you can master your emotions, you can create anything and transmute anything. But this is not about bypassing. This is not about not acting like you're not going to have any emotions. No, this is about embracing the fact of how you feel and knowing that you don't have to be identified with it. And here's another thing. Last thing. A lot of people don't want to take responsibility for how they feel. And this is why majority of people act arrogant and blame the world and blame other people and judge other people. And because of this is why a lot of people don't have control over their lives. It's because they're always focused on the outside, not the inside. So you guys, I want you to understand the purpose behind your depression is literally trying to teach you how to take back your power. It's trying to teach you how to face the things that should not rule you, because you are the ruler of how you want to feel, of how you want to think, and how you want to be. And like I said, this is not faking it till you make it, man. This is about facing it and realizing that no matter what, you're going to make it. No matter what, you're going to make it. But it's better to face it, embrace it, learn from it, and own that pain. Because when you own that pain, you own your story. When you own your story, you become the star of your own movie. A lot of people take depression as a sense of rulership. They identify with it. But if you can allow yourself to embrace the experience, the pain, the emotions, I guarantee you're going to be so grateful for your trauma. You're going to be so grateful for the experience that you had in your life, because you're going to realize there is no one else you will want to be. If anything, you will start being grateful for the person you were before that helped you get to who you are today. So, beautiful beings, those are the 3 reasons behind the purpose of depression. And let me tell you, when you start to embrace it, when you start to learn from it, when you allow it in, not only will you finally release it, it's because it's going to be a recurring thing that's going to happen. You're going to have to do it over and over and over and over until you start to realize, wow, there's such beauty in learning to love self. There's so much beauty in learning to nurture and trust self. So just understand, you guys, everything that I just shared with you, if you take it in and apply it to your life, I guarantee you will start noticing that life becomes more beautiful, because you're not trying to change anything. You're not trying to be anyone. If anything, it's all about unbecoming who you thought you were to be who you really are. Depression is trying to bring you back to self, back to life. That is the whole point of these intense emotions, is to get you to understand how to level up, how to own your sovereignty, and know that you don't have to be dictated by emotions that are just emotions. They're not actual monsters. They're not actual people. They're not actually harming you. If anything, they're here to try to pass through you, to teach you that there's more to life than perceiving yourself in this limitation. So, beautiful beings, I hope this brought an awareness to know that you're not alone on your journey. It's okay to not feel okay, but do not suppress and do not bypass, because we're not in the state of abandoning self. We're learning how to love self. We're learning how to understand ourselves. Shit, we've been here so fucking many fucking lifetimes. You know how long it is going to take to understand self? It's going to take a hot minute. So enjoy the journey of experience, of being curious about who you are, about being curious of remembering the purpose of your existence. So don't run away from yourself. Don't abandon yourself. You already have people who did that. Don't be one of them. So, other than that, you beautiful beings, that's all I want to share with you today. 3 reasonings behind your depression, the purpose behind your depression. And I really hope it brought some clarity, it brought some activations, and it brought a different perspective on how to see your pain and honor it, because it's a part of your story. And here's the thing, sometimes those darkest moments that you have, they're really going to inspire someone. And you don't know how much of a blessing you are to this world. So, honor how you feel, beautiful beings. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button so you won't miss out on any videos. And until then, you guys have a blissful day.